Do you know that feeling? You are stuck in a freezing office or meeting room and your feet feel ice cold. If you have been there, this video is definitely for you. No, there are tons of tips and hacks out there to warm up your feet. But let's be honest, most of them haven't actually been tested. And for an office or a meeting room, the solutions needs to be stealthy, something you can apply discreetly without drawing attention. I've picked up different hacks and we are putting them to the test. Let's see which one really work and which are just a waste of time. Alright, let's start with the most classic tip, wearing thick wool socks. For this test, I am pulling out my warmest pair of ski socks, ultra fluffy, smart wool ones. I put the sock on my right foot and within minutes there is already a noticeable difference. On the infrared images, you can see the shoe with the wool socks looks colder, which actually shows that the sock is insulating my foot and keeping the warmth in. I let this test run for about 20 minutes to really give it a chance. But here is the thing, while the sock definitely insulates, the result isn't as satisfying as I had hoped. My foot is still really cold and the temperature difference is barely noticeable. Before jumping to any conclusions though, let's move on to the next hack and see how it compares. Next up, insulated soles. These are super hyped in a lot of videos, so I decided to give it a go with an aluminium and fleece lined insole I bought specifically for this test. I pop it into my right shoe, wait another 20 minutes and nothing. I couldn't feel any noticeable warmth, and when I checked the infrared images, there was no difference either. It seems like this hack is similar to the wool sock. If your feet are already cold, it's not going to warm them up. That said, it might be useful for keeping warm feet from losing heat in the first place. But for now, let's move on to something a bit more promising, active heat. For the next hack, I am testing a reusable gel heat pack. You know, the kind of clicky thingy, the one you activate by clicking and you can recharge them by boiling water or microwaving. Obviously, it doesn't fit in my shoe, but the hack claims you can slip it into your sock instead. So I placed the heat pack in my left sock, right by my ankle, and I waited for about 20 minutes. And sure, my ankle got nice and warm, but my toes, not so much. They stayed just as cold as before. Even the infrared image didn't show any improvement compared to the other foot. This hack might be cozy for part of your foot. It's definitely not solving the frozen toe problem. Another typical piece of advice is get moving, like doing classical warming up exercises. Just get your heart pumping. And sure, that definitely works. Here is a reference image of my feet after 30 minutes of fitness. They are toasty warm. But let's be real, this video is about staying warm in the office. Burpees and stair runs, not exactly stealthy. So I tried a more discreet option, under-desk exercises. Many videos suggest things like wiggling your toes, circling your foot, or bending and flexing your toes repeatedly. So I circled and wiggled my left foot and bent my toes for 5 minutes. And yes, I could feel my leg muscle warming up. This even shows up clearly on the infrared camera. But my foot didn't feel much warmer. Thinking maybe it just needed more time, I did a second round activating my wool leg with more deliberate movement. But by the end the result was not as impressive. While my leg was clearly warm, my left foot was just slightly warmer. So it seems like a few minutes of toe wiggling or bending under the desk isn't quite enough. Let's move on to the most expensive hack, electric heated insoles. For this test I'm using my trusty old Thermop insole, which I slipped into my left shoe and switched on to half capacity. And whoa, immediately I could feel a nice warmth spreading through my cold foot. I kept it running for 20 minutes and the difference was absolutely clear. This hack works. One of the best things about this insole is adjustability. You can choose your heat level, and switch them off wherever you like. But there is a downside, the battery pack. If you are wearing skinny jeans or anything fitted, you might need to get a little creative to hide it. Still, it's one of the valor, and if you are willing to invest, it will not fail you. For a more cost-effective alternative, you might want to try single-use toe warmers. These little adhesive pads stick to your sock and generate heat for hours. Here is a graph of me wearing a cheap pair at the office. I got a solid 5 hours of noticeable warmth. The next hack is a bit unusual, using aluminium foil. The idea here is that the foil reflects back heat to your foot. And hey, adding an extra layer should help keep warmth in, right? Let's find out. I wrapped my left foot in aluminium foil and right away I could feel a noticeable warmth in the first minute. Getting my foot into the shoe without tearing the foil was a bit of a challenge, but I managed. I wore it for 30 minutes and the results were interesting. After that time, both of my feet were equally cold. So while the initial warmth was promising, it didn't seem to make a lasting difference. Still, I find the concept intriguing and I might experiment with this one more in future. Our final hack is a bit unconventional but pretty clever. Using a second pair of shoes and something warm to heat them up, like a microwave gel pad or bottles filled with hot water. The idea is to have one pair warming up while you're wearing the other, then swap them out regularly. This works well in most offices, since you will often have access to a microwave or hot water. Here is a demo of me warming up my safety boots at the office using this method. Sure, it takes a bit of preparation, but let me tell you, the feeling of putting cold feet into a nice warm pair of shoes is absolutely worth the effort. It's like giving your feet a mini spa treatment while at work. Let's wrap up with my overall thoughts on all the hacks. Hacks with active heat sources like electric insoles or swapping shoes work best for warming up cold feet. Insulation-only hacks like wool socks or insulated soles are better for keeping warmth in but won't heat your feet up. And stealthy exercises, it's tricky to pull off in an office and doesn't do much for your toes. Do you know other hacks? Share them in the comments. And if you are still cold, check out my other videos for more tips. Stay warm and goodbye.